Imagine walking through a quiet countryside, green hills, open farmland, a peaceful road stretching into the distance. Then suddenly, you see a strange concrete dome in the middle of a field. A few minutes later, you see another one, then another beside a beach, then one next to a village road. At first it seems strange, but soon you realize something shocking. They are everywhere, thousands of them, across the entire country. These structures are military bunkers, and there are more than 170,000 of them scattered across Albania. For a small country, that number is almost impossible to believe. But the real question is not how many there are. The real question is why they were built in the first place. To understand that, we have to look at the man who ruled Albania for decades, a communist leader named Enver Hoxha. Hoxha came to power after World War II. Like many leaders during the Cold War, he believed the world was divided into enemies and allies. At first, Albania worked closely with the Soviet Union. Later, it formed strong ties with China. But over time, something changed. Hoxha began to distrust almost everyone. He believed foreign countries were secretly planning to invade Albania. The Soviet Union, the United States, NATO forces in Europe, even neighboring countries. Gradually, Albania began cutting ties with its allies. First the Soviet Union, then China. Eventually, the country became one of the most isolated nations in the world. But isolation didn't make Hoxha feel safer. In fact, it made his fears even stronger. He became convinced that invasion could happen at any moment, and he decided the entire country needed to be prepared. His solution was simple: turn Albania into a fortress, not with large military bases, but with thousands of small bunkers spread across the landscape. Each bunker was designed to protect a soldier during an attack. The structures were made of thick, reinforced concrete. They had small openings for rifles and machine guns. Inside, a soldier could hide while firing at approaching enemies. From above, they looked like small concrete mushrooms. Low, round, and extremely strong. But before building thousands of them, Hoxha wanted to test the design. The test itself became one of the strangest moments in Albania's military history. A bunker prototype was built. Then a military officer was ordered to sit inside it. Outside, a tank prepared to fire. The officer had no escape. If the bunker failed, he would die. The tank fired. The explosion shook the ground. Dust filled the air. When the smoke cleared, the bunker was still standing, and the officer inside had survived. That single test convinced Hoxha the design worked. Soon, bunker construction began across the entire country. Factories started producing bunker parts. Concrete shells were transported through mountains and villages. Workers installed them in fields, towns, and along the coast. Engineers supervised construction. Students were sometimes sent to help. Even farmers saw bunkers appear beside their land. The goal was simple. If Albania was invaded, soldiers could quickly run to the nearest bunker and defend the country. But the plan went much further than that. Bunkers were placed almost everywhere. On hills overlooking roads, near important buildings, along beaches where enemy troops might land, even in quiet rural areas far from any major city. Over time, the number grew larger and larger. Thousands, then tens of thousands. Eventually, more than 170,000 bunkers had been built. For comparison, that meant there was roughly one bunker for every 4 people living in Albania. But building so many structures came with a heavy cost. Concrete, steel, transportation, and labor all required huge resources. Money that could have been used for housing, hospitals, or roads was spent on bunkers instead. The country's economy struggled. Everyday life became difficult for many citizens. Meanwhile, the bunkers kept appearing. Across hillsides, along quiet coastal roads, in empty farmland. Some people began joking that Albania had more bunkers than trees. But behind those jokes was a deeper reality. The bunkers were symbols of constant fear. They represented a government preparing for a war that might never happen. Years passed. The world outside Albania continued to change. But inside the country, the bunker project continued. Then one day, everything shifted. Enver Hoxha died. Not long after, the communist government began to weaken. Eventually, Albania started opening its borders to the outside world. The Cold War was ending. The feared invasion had never happened. But the bunkers were still there. Thousands of them. Too many to remove.
Too expensive to destroy.
So they remained. Concrete domes scattered across the landscape. Over time, people began finding new uses for them. Some bunkers became storage spaces. Others were turned into small cafes. A few were transformed into museums or art galleries. Some even became tiny homes. Visitors to Albania often noticed them immediately. Driving along a coastal road, you might see one overlooking the sea. Walking through farmland, another might sit quietly in the grass. Hiking in the mountains, you might discover one hidden between rocks. Nature has slowly begun reclaiming them. Grass grows around their bases. Trees rise nearby, but the bunkers themselves remain almost unchanged. Solid, cold, and strangely permanent. Today, they serve as reminders of a very unusual chapter in history, a time when fear shaped an entire country. More than 170,000 bunkers built for a war that never came. Silent structures scattered across the land, each one telling the story of a leader who believed danger was always just over the horizon. And even though the Cold War ended long ago, those concrete domes are still there, watching quietly over Albania, like frozen pieces of a past the world will never forget.